Welcome to Storytime with Sprinkle Claus. I am your host, Sprinkle Claus the Dragon. Today, we will be reading the story of the Golden Goose from Grimm's Fairy Tales. The Golden Goose. There was a man who had 3 sons. The youngest was called Dummling, and on all occasions despised and ill-treated by the whole family. It happened that the eldest took it into his head one day to go into the wood to cut fuel, and his mother gave him a delicious pastry and a bottle of wine to take with him, that he might refresh himself at his work. As he went into the wood, a little old man bid him good day and said, "Give me a little piece of meat from your plate and a little wine out of your bottle, for I am very hungry and thirsty." But this clever young man said, "Give you my meat and wine? No, I thank you. I should not have enough left for myself." And away he went. He soon began to cut down a tree, but he had not worked long before he missed his stroke and cut himself, and was obliged to go home to have the wound dressed. Now it was the little old man that had caused him this mischief. Next went out the second son to work, and his mother gave him too a pastry and a bottle of wine. And the same little old man met him also, and asked him for something to eat and drink. But he too thought himself vastly clever, and said, "Whatever you get I shall lose, so go your way." The little man took care that he should have his reward, and the second stroke that he aimed against the tree hit him on the leg, so that he too was forced to go home. Then Dummling said, "Father, I should like to go and cut wood too." But his father answered, "Your brothers have both lamed themselves. You had better stay at home, for you know nothing of the business." But Dummling was very pressing, and at last his father said, "Go your way. You will be wiser when you have suffered for your folly." And his mother gave him only some dry bread and a bottle of sour beer. But when he went into the wood, he met the little old man, who said, "Give me some meat and drink, for I am very hungry and thirsty." Dummling said, "I have only dry bread and sour beer. If that will suit you, we will sit down and eat it together." So they sat down, and when the lad pulled out his bread, behold, it was turned into a capital pastry, and his sour beer became delightful wine. They ate and drank heartily, and when they had done, the little man said, "As you have a kind heart, and have been willing to share everything with me, I will send a blessing upon you. There stands an old tree. Cut it down, and you will find something at the root." Then he took his leave and went on his way. Dummling set to work and cut down the tree, and when it fell, he found in a hollow under the roots a goose with feathers of pure gold. He took it up and went on to an inn, where he proposed to sleep for the night. The landlord had 3 daughters, and when they saw the goose, they were very curious to examine what this wonderful bird could be, and wished very much to pluck one of the feathers out of the tail. At last, the eldest said, "I must and will have a feather." So she waited till his back was turned, then seized the goose by the wing, but to her great surprise, there she stuck, for neither hand nor finger could she get away again. Presently in came the second sister, and thought to have a feather too, but the moment she touched her sister, there she too hung fast. At last came the third and wanted a feather, but the other 2 cried out, "Keep away! For heaven's sake, keep away!" However, she did not understand what they meant. "If they are there," thought she, "I may as well be there too." So she went up to them, but the moment she touched her sisters, she stuck fast and hung to the goose as they did. And so they kept company with the goose all night. The next morning, Dummling carried off the goose under his arm and took no notice of the three girls, but went out with them, sticking fast behind. And wherever he traveled, they too were obliged to follow, whether they would or no, as fast as their legs could carry them. In the middle of a field, the parson met them, and when he saw the train, he said, "Are you not ashamed of yourselves, you bold girls, to run after the young man in that way over the fields? Is that proper behavior?" Then he took the youngest by the hand to lead her away, but the moment he touched her, he too hung fast and followed in the train. Presently up came the clerk, and when he saw his master the parson running after the three girls, he wondered greatly and said, "Hallo, hallo, your reverence, whither so fast? There is a christening today." Then he ran up and took him by the gown, and in a moment he was fast too. As the five were thus trudging along, one behind another, they met two laborers with their mattocks coming from work, and the parson cried out to them to set him free. But scarcely had they touched him when they too fell into the ranks, and so made 7, all running after Dummling and his goose. At last they arrived at a city where reigned a king who had an only daughter. The princess was of so thoughtful and serious a turn of mind that no one could make her laugh, and the king had proclaimed to all the world that whoever could make her laugh should have her for his wife. When the young man heard this, he went to her with his goose and all its train, and as soon as she saw the 7 all hanging together and running about, treading on each other's heels, she could not help bursting into a long and loud laugh. Then Dummling claimed her for his wife. The wedding was celebrated, and he was heir to the kingdom, and they lived long and happily ever after. The end.